Just about 10 minutes down after 6 o'clock. So, say good afternoon to you. How you doing this afternoon? Well, 5 o'clock clock at 6 is on right now. So turn up your radio. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. Time to turn on 95.9 SOS Radio, number one station in the land, definitely. I also got my partner here with me, Kevin, in the house. Good afternoon, Kevin.
Couldn't be said better. Number one station on the island.
Definitely. Most listening to stations.
Better believe it. Yes, a special couple of seconds for the mothers. I really want to dedicate to all the mothers of St. Martin, the single parents, the teenage mothers, and for those mothers that had passed away and left their children behind. I just want to give them special support and say that we are there, and hopefully we can be a voice that certain things will change in St. Martin for the betterment of St. Martin.
Okay. Yes, sir. This afternoon, this program actually should have a special promotion for this program. Because trust me, this afternoon, folks, you want your ears to be glued to the radio this afternoon. This is going to be a powerful program this afternoon. I have with me in the house one of our champion of fighting for St. Martin, for grassroots St. Martin people. He's a veteran in the business. By now you know I'm talking about Mr. Leopold James. And I have a young hero, a young rising star, who's fighting for the same cause as if they are father and son. Imagine that. So, without any further ado, let me introduce Sir Leopold James. Good afternoon to you.
Yes, good afternoon, Xrey.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for inviting me. And also a good afternoon to your co-host, Kevin. And I would like to make use of this opportunity, Kevin, to express my condolences to you for the very tragic passing of your aunt. I think it's very tragic. It touched many St. Martiners that this could happen on this island like that, which has raised a lot of questions. Again, my condolences, because your aunt was a very young person, and that must have a big impact on the family. I would also like to make use of this opportunity here. I cannot start the program this evening without also expressing a deep sense of loss for the passing of one of, I would say, our greatest cultural, historical, political icon. An icon in many ways. I don't know if you all know the person, but this morning early I understood that Mr. Camille Bailey, former teacher, passed on St. Martin. And I must say, and it's so interesting in life, just like a few weeks ago when you invited me here to have a debate with Mr. Haar. That was on July the 13th. I was getting ready for that debate, but it turned out differently, because exactly on that day, one of my best friends and heroes of St. Martin passed on as well, Eldridge. And today, we came here with a certain mindset.
Yeah.
And again, we have to make adjustments, because so many of our people, of our heroes, are passing on. And we cannot but give at least a short tribute to them. So I have to express my deepest and sincerest condolences to the son, daughter, and family of the late Camille Bailey. He was a really, really, outstanding, I would almost say, father, of the country, in bygone days.
That touched me.
Sad. Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't hear about it.
Oh yes.
I got to send my condolences also, because I'm very close to the family.
Okay.
I used to be there a lot before I started traveling, but wow.
Likewise, I know him more on baseball, on the Little League baseball organization.
Yes.
He himself and his wife was very voluntary and helped out a lot.
I would like to comment on that. I went to Holland in 1961. Camille Bailey was one of the first, as far as I know, Antillean St. Martiners that went to Holland to study. When I went to Holland, I think he had just come back, or he was there for a short period of time. I can't remember exactly. But I went there in 1961, and I think Camille Bailey, went to Holland around 1958, 1957. And one of the things I remember in The Hague at that time, I went to The Hague when I went to study, and I played baseball myself. And I used to go to the library in The Hague, and it's so incredible. Constantly people would recall this young man, Camille Bailey, who was, there before me. He set an incredible, good example. And these are things, I think we have to learn, that we, whatever we do, can help or hurt the next generation.
Yes.
And Camille Bailey really had a tremendous good reputation in Holland. I remember at the library where I used to go to in The Hague, at a sermon they told me that this gentleman read about every book they had in the library there. He was extremely well read and knowledgeable.
Yes.
So we lost a great, icon.
Nice man he was.
Yeah.
Mr. Patriot.
First of all, good afternoon to the people of St. Martin and all the fellow patriots. I myself too would like to send out my condolences to Mr. Camille Bailey family and also to my senior Kevin Olivache. And on that note, let me say this. Let me give my mother some flowers while she's alive.
Yeah.
My mother has done a wonderful job with us. Her name is Andre Apollina van Heineken Arrindell. This is a lady that has character, that worked 3 jobs, was responsible, gave us education, was there for us all times. Even after those 3 jobs, when she come home, she will make time to make sure we do our lesson. She is priceless. She is everything you want in a mother, and I thank God for her so much. She is the person that helps me to reveal who I am today, to stand for values and to take a stand for things that is important to St. Martin. She is one of those people that always teach you to be a leader and to be somebody to stand for just and for a just cause. That is the reason why I'm the kind of person I am today. I'm revealing who I am as a person to defend and stand for my country regardless of numbers, but for the just and right cause, and loyal to my grassroots people of St. Martin. And this is something I'm very proud of her. I'm proud of her, and I love her very much. And I'm going to say, Mommy, you're the most wonderful mother anybody can have, and may God bless you and keep you.
Yes.
I would like to add to that, because these are the things that I think is so important, is that we as a people, which we talked about last week, we as a people, we have to learn, to discover who we are. Yes. St. Martiners are really a special, nation, but we ourselves haven't discovered our potential. Others know it. That's why they try to block us. Yeah. You understand? And it's time that we start to build one another. And I would like to add, to what Miguel said here. And I feel proud the way you introduce us. Me as the old man. You use a nice word. Veteran. You mean to say old man? But okay. I have no problem with that, because I feel proud, of being, so-called, a spiritual father to Miguel. Yes. Because when I see Miguel, I see class. I see a proud, strong St. Martiner, a guy that has principles, a guy that, is not afraid to speak out in defense of St. Martin people, and to express his love for his family, his mother, and for his nation. And come back to Miguel, I think it's very important for people to realize, that's why I admire Kevin too, because all of us are stepping up to the plate, and it's a good development. You understand? Because we are here because of what our ancestors and our parents, instilled in us. If I look at Miguel's situation, which I don't know too much about his family background, but I know this. His mother in particular raised their children and gave them a heck of a good education. Here you have a family where you have a brother and sister who are doctors in one St. Martin family. You see, we tend to take these things for granted.
Yeah.
You know, even Miguel, he's too humble and too modest to talk about it. You understand? But we have to realize that people like Miguel, who come from a really outstanding traditional family, that he has not got himself involved in this movement, because he needed something or he wanted something. He did it because, out of love. Because you come from a family, basically, you are well off. You're well off as a person, you're well off as a family, and basically nobody voted for you. Nobody elected you. So you don't have basically any account, certainly not a political account to give to people. And here you have someone like yourself, a very young person, standing up and speaking out based on love for country, while we have politicians who have been elected, who are highly paid and who are afraid to say they are St. Martiners. And again, it shows that they are the problem. Not part of the problem, they are the problem on the island. So I think it's very important to say that, to put things in context, for people to realize, like Kevin too, you're not doing it because you have to. Nobody forced you to do it. And I really admire you guys because you are the next generation. So I feel proud. And I feel privileged, and I have a lot of hope when I see you guys, speaking out and taking a position, in defense of St. Martin without putting down others, because it doesn't have to mean you put down others. You stand up for your people like others stand up for themselves. You understand? It really makes me feel that there's hope, So I'm glad to and blessed to be alive and to witness this development.
And let me say this too. I want to read a little. It's like today I want to give the people of St. Martin a lecture. I want to do a little bit in depth on the situation of Dutch St. Martin, where our grassroots people are still not recognized in the Constitution. And I want to go a little bit more in depth so they can understand why it's so important. But not only that we're at this present stage, what the injustice our politician is doing to us. So let me read a little explanation of what is important. By neglecting to recognize the grassroots people of St. Martin heritage in the Constitution, they are in reality, our government has declared war against us. Let me explain. Which means the politicians do not recognize their role of Parliament as a body to represent the grassroots people. This must be interpreted as any and all people have more rights than the grassroots people of St. Martin heritage. And let me explain you a little more in depth. You only can be recognized as a human when you're recognized in the Constitution, which means you exist and have to be treated and have human rights. The fact that we are not recognized in the Constitution, which means they are telling us we are not valuable as humans because they don't give you that right. You see, the United Nations only recognize humans when they are established as people in a constitution. So in reality, our politicians refuse to recognize us as humans. So therefore we don't have the human rights. Because when you want to defend us, if you go under the United Nations guideline, first they want to know who's the St. Martin people. How can we be represented when we are not recognized in our own constitution? So in reality, they are really neglecting us as a people to give us human rights. And while we have so-called covenant St. Martin people going to go defend animal rights against the copyright issue, but they refuse to stand up against our government to fight for us as a people to be recognized as people and as human in a constitution. It's a dishonorable act and an injustice to the people and the grassroots people of St. Martin. In reality, our parliament is really declaring war on the grassroots people of St. Martin heritage. And if we continue to allow this act, we are saying to ourselves that yes, we don't want being treated as human. That's why we have to use all necessary means to defend our rights and to be counted as human in our constitution.
How can we as a people now stand the government and say enough is enough?
Okay.
We need to be recognized as a people.
And this now, I'm going to go a little bit more in depth. If you really value yourself as a human, and you really believe that you is of that value, the initiative must come from you as a person. Many times in St. Martin, we hear people going defending other people's interests, other countries, saying they have human rights and they should be treated as such. But I think it's a hypocrisy and a dishonesty to yourself when you want to defend others, when you yourself is not recognized as a human in your constitution. Then we are not credible and we are not worthy of defending others when we ourselves are scared and afraid to defend our rights as a people. So I think before any St. Martin person talk about human rights, we have to look ourselves in the face and ask, do we have we been established as human in our constitution? Because we are not. And I think it's rather hypocritical to talk about we would like to see President Obama become president again, be re-elected, defending that cause, when we ourselves is not fighting for our own rights as a human to be established and recognized in our constitution. So until we find out who we are and reveal who we are, I think it's an injustice to ourselves for us not to fight for ourselves until we are willing to stand up for our own selves. Only then we can have credibility of defending others.
I find St. Martin have to rally around that same cause and purpose, like the rallying for church, for religious purpose, because the value what you just have explained to people, which is to be accepted and respected as a human being, and our representatives is denying us this fact. That's right. Because I heard the captain saying it, it is we St. Martin people running and governing St. Martin. So how is it possible that we have to be here today under this level of discussion? We're supposed to be exhaling, we're supposed to be exalting St. Martin for what we have done and what the foundation we have established.
But the question is, what do we have to fundamentally do? Okay,
I'll come to that. But you see, why I want to, I'm going to lie, I want to build a case first, because I want the people to understand. The prime purpose of a politician is to protect the people, and their rights.
Yeah.
They intentionally refuse to and they neglect us as human beings because they don't want to recognize us. You see, we have a right, unalienable rights, which is given from God as a creator. When the people you put there, which it is their purpose to protect us, don't want to recognize you, they tell you don't want nothing. So I want the people to really grasp what they are saying. You do not want nothing. So the very purpose of them there being to protect you, they're doing a dishonesty to you because they refuse to protect you. So you see, you only can get change when you understand the depth of what these people is doing to you. When a person intentionally refuses to recognize you in the Constitution, they have trampled on your rights, because you only can defend rights when it is established, which is given from God. And when they refuse to do that, they're telling you don't want nothing. When you understand that, then you can know how to tackle the problem. If you don't understand that you not being in a Constitution, that is, you don't really have no right because it is not established. When you understand the depths of you being not recognized as a human being, then you will know how to take it on from that. But I will give Jim the chance to elaborate on certain things he would like to say.
I think it's very interesting what you're saying, and I would like to say this, that I don't want to give the politicians any, wrong impression, right? That I only can exist in my mind when they realize that.
Exactly.
You understand?
Crystal clear.
They don't have the faculty, period.
That's correct.
Right? Life starts with self-awareness.
Correct.
Right? Life starts when every individual realizes, hey, I am.
That's correct.
Not I am whatever yet, I am.
There's where it starts.
There's where it starts. If you don't know you are, you don't exist whether people acknowledge you or not. So it is up to the individual people, the individual St. Martiners, to realize, maybe for the very first time in their lives, guess what? I never knew, but I am. And look around in the mirror and say, hey, I am. Because once you realize you are, then the next step is, okay, what am I?
That's correct.
Right? So it is a process that we have to go through as a people, and once we recognize who we are and we value ourselves, government has no choice, zero, and government will run behind us and recognize us. Because I agree with government that they can't acknowledge people who themselves feel they don't exist.
Just a little question.
I hope you understand what I'm talking about. You know, because a lot of people come here to this country, and I'll take a group, the Haitian group, for instance. They are very powerful spiritually, because whether their government will acknowledge them or not, they know who they are and that they are as a people to start. That's why they are fighters.
The survivors.
You understand what I'm saying? They are fighters, and that's why our government recognizes them. Whether they come in illegally here by the bunch, they will recognize them anyhow.
And to answer your question, you're asking how do we tackle it? The secret is this: when you recognize you are and you're a human being, then you know how to tackle it.
We are.
And we are.
And we are.
But that's the problem with St. Martin people. They keep quiet because they don't recognize that they are human beings.
I would like maybe because I'm the veteran, you know. I think it's very important, right? And psychologically important, particular, to think positive. Because normally it's not the outside world, the external that defeats you. It's you defeat yourself.
That's correct.
You understand what I'm saying? Correct. And if we keep saying St. Martin people this and St. Martin people that, we are not, because I am like this. Even if there's one St. Martiner who really is ready to set up a fight,
it's a victory.
That's a beginning. Period.
It's a victory.
Because listen, I only can make 1,000 steps if I start with the first step. You know?
That's correct.
You understand what I'm saying? So we have to realize that at a certain moment we must not defeat ourselves, you know. I ain't gonna defeat myself.
My first too.
You understand what I'm saying? Everybody could be against me, and I invite them to be double against me. It really matters not, you know. I think personally that St. Martin people right now, you know, are listening very keenly, and we have to be realistic to understand how things develop. Because at a certain we talk about processes, and processes are things that go gradually.
Take some time.
It is as if you have, I always compare it, you know, to use mathematical terms, physical terms. If you got a train going in a certain direction with one speed, and that's a negative direction, and you want to have the train go the other direction with the same speed, it doesn't happen in one phase. It happens in several phases. To start with, the train got to stop going faster. Then the train got to slow down. Then the train got to stop. Then the train got to turn around. Turn around with speed 0. Pick up speed, and then move on with the same speed as it was going in the right direction. So it has to go through different phases. And if we don't realize that we are going through that process, that we are changing, you would give up, you know, while you're on the right track.
Correct.
You see, we got to understand and put it out of our mind that we got to see that system change from one direction into the other direction in one shot during our lifetime.
It don't happen so.
We got to make sure, right, that we do what we have to do.
Stop the train.
Not even stop it. Make sure they go faster.
Okay.
Don't go too fast, you know. I'm a mathematician, you know. It goes in phases. It mustn't go faster. Make sure it don't go fast. You're not even slow down, you know. Make sure it don't go faster. And then the same speed. And then slow down. And then stop. And then turn around.
But then, James, also, to solve a problem, we need to know where the problem starts.
You have to be aware. I'm not so negative, huh? I'm very positive, as a matter of fact. Today, for instance,
what caused government to neglect St. Martin people?
We government neglect. We neglect ourselves, and government just reflects on what we do to ourselves.
No,
profitable for them.
If we don't,
we send out a message to them, right? That it's okay.
But if we don't wake up now, and realize that I am,
something
what's going to happen?
Well, Okay, let me just go a little bit reverse, a little bit, and I'll come back forward. And that's where you have to understand the whole purpose of what your life stands for. Your life has to have a meaning, and it has to have a value. You have to put value in it. And the question you should ask yourself, like Mr. James said, if I am, what is my next purpose in life? What am I here for? Because I am here. Some of us have children and grandchildren. What would you leave behind for them? If you don't establish yourself first, then there's nothing for the rest to get. Once you establish you are, then the next step is supposed to be, what do I have to fulfill in life to make it valuable? And when you find out who you are, then you have to find out what your obligations are that needs to be done to make your life worthy and successful. And if people who are dear is hindering you, but you was part of that process of putting in there, then the next phase is, like you said, to slow down the train. Then you have to start getting rid of that problem that is hindering you. And that is start for you to start standing and demanding and living up and fighting for your rights. And that has to come from within you. If you are.
Let me ask you the same question.
Yes. What was the question again?
The question is, if we don't wake up and realize that I am, what will happen to us?
You cease to exist.
That's the problem.
I mean,
that's part of the problem we have here.
Listen, it's only you can save you.
That's correct.
If you have let's say a medical condition, right? And you don't recognize that medical condition, the doctor can give you whatever medication you want, it ain't gonna work, because you and your mind decide already, I have no problem. Look, one thing I realize as an educator, and that's why I'm not so negative at all, is 50% of a solution, 50% of a healing process starts by acknowledging that you have a problem. I've discovered that many times with students. Once they realize they have a problem, then what happens? Then you don't have to waste energy convincing them that they have a problem. So 50% of that energy, right, was wasted in convincing them. So now you can start working on a creative solution. And one thing that I have discovered, and that is my strength. My strength isn't that I'm intelligent. My strength is I don't give up. And my strength is I'm an inspirator. I can motivate people. And what I've realized with students is once you give a student a sense of pride and dignity and empowerment by saying, listen a minute, if God made you, which He made, you are a little piece of God, It's important to empower people, to let people know you can. Once anybody discovers, my God, I can, you got a problem at hand. You see, and that's what we have to try to achieve with Samaritan people. Once there is a sufficient enough consciousness among our people, you're going to get a snowball effect. Because people are going to realize, just a minute, those people ain't more than me. That's something I learned, for instance. I learned, while I was growing up and studying, that self-confidence. But just a minute, white man ain't more than me. I could face him down, period. And I want him to make my life extremely difficult. Because I'm going to enjoy being put to the test. You see, being put to the test doesn't mean that I'm going to roll up and play dead. Give me a break. If you want to turn me on, for instance, put pressure on me.
Welcome to the challenge.
Just put pressure on me. You see, so this is what we want to do, is to share, especially with the next generation, is to tell them you can. Nobody better than you. You can. So once you realize you can, and you realize, but what happened to my people in my country ain't normal, at a given moment, you will start yourself looking for the solution, because up until that moment that you feel you don't have a problem, you're looking for no solution because you want a problem.
That's correct.
And I have been surprised on many occasions with people could never believe in themselves, once they reach that point of becoming self-confident, the brilliant ideas that they come up with that I would have never dreamed of, because you're tapping in some resource, some spiritual, universal resource. You understand? That's why I learned never to underestimate anybody, because everybody got potential. God gave everybody potential. You understand? I mean, why should I have potential alone and not you, Kevin? You understand? Maybe I was able to recognize my potential and to make use of it, but you can do the same, or maybe even better. You see, and that is what we want to really work on. It gives the man and people that sense, you know,
worth and value
of confidence and looking forward towards problems. Stop thinking now, oh God, we got a problem, so we're giving up. No, just because you got a problem, you got to work on the problem.
That's correct.
But I just want to inject, the reality of the fact is that we suffer in an inferior complex situation that we are today looking up to them as gods.
Look up to who?
The European, the Frenchman, and the Dutchman. Because when you look, it is higher supervision. We live in under higher supervision. We live in under technical supervision. We live in under lower supervision. All how which door you open, we see them.
The fact of the matter is that's your perception. Yes, that's your perception, which I reject. Yes, I reject out of hand. Period. I turn my back on that. I don't waste time with that type of thinking, because as I said, even if it's one person. You see, I look at not so much where we are, but where we came from. And you can talk all you want, Kevin. I see a change in Samaritan people. Because the very fact that we are sitting here today discussing these things, you know, you weren't born yet, that this wouldn't have been possible.
I know that.
You understand what I'm saying? So, it is important to realize the progress made and not the road still to be traveled. You see, it's very important to encourage people to continue on that track, no matter how small those steps are, you know.
That's correct.
No matter how small, the small steps can be very small. It doesn't matter once it's in a certain direction. You understand what I'm saying? And with all due respect, this is our way of thinking, which is politically incorrect. If a discussion doesn't lead to productivity, we cut it one time.
That's right.
We cut it one time.
The reason why you mentioned this...
No, I just try to make that very clear.
The reason, because I just want to state certain facts to my point, is because where's the madness? Where was the vision of us 40 years ago that we don't have a majority, our representative in the different fields in our social well-being? And especially, like I said, we are being a doctor, specialist, a surgeon.
We got Carlo coming in.
So. Okay.
Hello, good afternoon, Carlo.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Mr. xrey.
Yes, sir.
Tell that guy to me, Mr. James, we want to listen to other people too.
Such as?
Well, I mean, he got a whole thing for himself.
How do you mean?
Well, he's just talking, that's all he's listening.
But he's a guest.
We want you to be you, we want you to tell them we want to hear something.
No, you can't. I mean, I bring a guest. He's a guest who got to talk.
Okay.
But you understand? You apparently you understand what you're talking about.
You go?
Huh?
We want to hear some more what you got to say.
No, me and Kevin as a host, and Leopold James and the Patriot is a guest. Is a guest you got to hear.
Let me
okay,
let me say this. First of all, we still thank the brother for listening, and that the fact that you have an interest is also still positive to listen to us. And let me not to cut what he's saying, but you see, a lot of people in St. Martin don't understand their rights, and once you understand your rights, then you can make different changes. God gives each and everybody rights. Our leaders swear to uphold those rights. And yet, they use that same platform to make an excuse why they can't defend us when they was put there for that purpose. And we allow it to become a norm, and that has to change. Because if we understand what they was put there for, and they are telling you, well, you know, I'm a politician, I can't say that, that means you should not go there. When we understand the importance of they are not living up to their responsibility, and we understand the problem, then we can change. We have to understand the problem, like that's what you explain. We have to know our rights so we can correct it. We continue to accept them saying, I can't speak up and say Martin behalf because, I'm a politician. But that's the purpose what you was there for. And it seems sometimes that they themselves need education to understand they are there to protect us and not go against us. And when we understand that, and we understand the value of our rights, then we can make change. But we continue to allow them to preach that nonsense. I'm going to give you an example. Just Monday gone, a parliamentarian called me pertaining to my article, conflict and confrontation is a must. He agrees with me. He said me, you hit the nail on the head. But there what he said. Well, I can't do that. Because I'm a parliamentarian. I said, why? But that's what you are there for. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes they think ignorantly and they don't even understand the purpose of what they are there for. But sometimes that's what we have to take a lead. So when we start to deny that behavior and to tell them, that's why you don't fit to be there because you don't want or don't even understand the role you swear to uphold and to protect me and my rights. You think you cannot do that. So you don't even understand the purpose of you being there. And once we understand that, then we have to understand that we need to change and we need a new way of doing things. And I think Mr. James said it so eloquently. When you understand I am and you understand the problem, that is where the problem change. Because we ourselves will come up with a solution. The purpose, to answer your question, I want the people of St. Martin to think for themselves, to find their solution, and not always dependent on other people to find their solution. When you understand the problem for yourself, then you can get a creative thinking and a positive way of thinking to find a solution for yourself.
No. We know in St. Martin in a situation where government don't care. Our politicians do not care because the system that they create is in their benefit. And if they don't want to hear us, they don't want to change it to benefit we, what's going to happen?
No, but I think, I want to, let me reverse it on top of you. Who put them there and who allowed them not to care? Ourselves. That's what I said. I don't blame them anymore. We have to recognize we have a problem too. Because we keep accepting it. Until we accept we are the main problem, then we can change that. I want you to stop looking at them. They won't change because we don't want to change. Okay. Our success depends on how we see the problem. And I think Sir James explained it very accurately. When you understand you have a problem and you can think for yourself, let me see how I can change it. That I am the problem these people is doing so and acting so because I allow it. You see, I don't want to come up. I want the people to imagine to think for themselves. And I want to motivate them and help them to find that the answer lies in themselves. Once they value themselves, then they can understand what change has to be made. I don't have to tell you that.
I just ask a question so that maybe we can guide the listeners with what you're actually enlightening St. Martin people of the process of I am. Does really start a process to instill into our people, and most important for me is the youths, the children. Isn't it the parents? Does it not start at home? So that because like in your upbringing, so generally that is the person that you will be, and that is what the purpose you'll be defending, which for me basically represents self-preservation by all means necessary. So if we get you to do that, I think we will reach miles ahead in the sense of what you're saying, because we're dealing with the majority, the population, what basically has the government institution in place. But what I want to get to is seeing the problems that are directly affecting us, or like the school just started. And there's a lot of rumors of very, very negative things happening for the couple of days that school just started. So why I say asking a question about the parent? Why isn't we as parents, because that is your children, that is your concern, that's your priority. Why aren't we going to the schools in majority, in mass, and said enough is enough? Let the children, let your children, and let other children by your presence know, say enough is enough. We're going to change this form of this mental and psychological way of our youth and the way they are behaving.
I think you're asking a question and you're answering the question and you're realizing it. Let me explain you. You say, why don't we stop? When you find out you are and you find out your responsibility, then here comes the answer. And that's what I'm saying. Look here. If you say I am, and we recognize that, we won't allow those people to stay in power, not recognize us in the Constitution. Because in fact you want it to be more powerful. And if they're not doing it, then you will decide what action you're going to take. See, I don't want to tell you what to do. I want you to understand for yourself what should be done. And I want the people to come up with the answer, because there is where the change comes. You have to find it for yourself. And that's what I want you to understand. You see, and that's the importance of it, because he said good, Mr. Jim said good. You want to accept you have a problem. You have to think constructive then what has to be done. I don't want to micromanage you, no. The part of creating leadership is to help people to recognize the talent that lies in them, the problem that exists, and what changes they're going to make. That they themselves say, no, this can't go along anymore. Because once they understand that and they're willing to change it, automatically then the group comes together and we can make a powerful change.
But I would like to ask Mr. James this question still though. We all know that government is benefiting from the way they're running their business. All of them come rich.
Not a people it's a business.
It's a business. And they create it in a way that they can be
untouched.
Yes, untouched.
Right,
what's going to happen, James, if the people don't wake up?
Okay. Let me try to answer that question, since you invited me as a guest here.
Yeah, you're a guest.
You invited me as a guest.
I asked you the question.
I didn't invite myself here. I think it's just important for people to know,
Yeah.
Because people can call in and talk and hide their own identity in the meantime. Fine, no problem with that, But, education is very important.
That's correct.
If you invite somebody as guest, right, don't expect that person just to sit by and to accept whatever is said. Because the point here is have a debate, right? And I ain't the first best. I happen not to be the first best, And I will resist, any situation where I feel is only holding us back and not going forward. Because I've been part of that for God knows how long, that we basically talk to keep ourselves down. I choose never ever to get in that mode, period. I would walk away from any discussion that is not constructive and that is not solution oriented. You understand what I'm saying? I would walk away from that discussion, because I could deal with a discussion where people disagree with me, but we have to think forwardly.
Yeah, but I want to
make that very clear.
I want to say I invite you here because I feel you can edify the people. That's the reason why you're here.
Exactly. I mean, I don't invite myself. I'm not a person who talks nonsense and just talk. I don't do that.
So
I've been invited, and I suppose that why we are here, why people at the Patriot are here, and not a lot of other people who call in too. Why are they here? It's because their way of thinking hasn't helped.
Exactly.
It hasn't helped. We are on Martin in a problem, and if we continue doing the same thing, thinking the same way, what is going to be the result? The same.
That's correct. Yeah.
So clearly, we need a complete new thinking.
Yeah. But we have to realize that in the days when there was slavery, when one slave decided, listen, I can't be this no more, there was some slaves that said, no, we can't go. We got to stay. This is going to work.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have to realize that they are going to have some people who do understand what we're talking about.
Exactly. But my point.
And they understand right now.
My point is.
Happening presently right now. If you look at read the newspaper, how we bickering and we talk a warring with each other.
Yeah,
and it's we smart.
It's not really talk a war. Some people just.
Well, that's what I am trying to get. We just want to talk a war. That's what I'm trying to do. I am trying to tell people you can.
Yes, exactly.
I have been a teacher. I am the first best. I just walk in here. I have friends who are doctors, engineers, and services. Now, I mean, I should have some kind of a say, I suppose. You understand? I am trying to empower people. I reject taking from people that they cannot.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Anybody who tell me this can't work and that can't work, I don't go there. Period. I never went there and I will not go there. This is. You can. I believe in you. You can. You understand? And what has been the downfall of a lot of people is that not others destroyed us. We destroyed ourselves. I ain't destroying myself. I want to make it very clear. So if anybody wants me to think in those terms that we can't do it, not with Leopold James. Period. That ain't going to happen.
We got a call line. I'm going to ask them, caller.
Yeah, good evening. Don't get lost in the conversation you have from here.
Yes.
All is what I have this talk about, see all is when I'm from them now. If I myself for you, I just hope you guys have put your person in the world.
Thank you.
So I feel never know it's still existing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, I think that's why we are here. That's what I said. We have to find the. Once we understand we have a problem, we have to seek our own solution. And I don't think it's only I can give my opinion, but the point we're trying to make is make people more self-reliant, to be self-independent thinkers, that they can understand that there's a problem and they can think for themselves to find a solution to the problem. Because in St. Martin in the past, that was the problem. It's like the masses relying on one man, and that is not good. When you're a real good leader, you have to instill leadership in others and give them room to develop so they can become also independent thinkers.
Yeah. That's not happening.
But I didn't answer your question because I had to put something. Correct the situation.
I want a question.
You answered what will happen basically if we don't
wake up.
If we don't wake up, we are going to cease to exist. And we're on that track if we are not careful, right?
Yes, sir.
It's a real possibility. Let me put it that if we don't arrest that development, we will be going towards extinction. Extinction as a people. Extinction as St. Martiners. That doesn't mean to say we won't have one or two St. Martiners still alive, but as a people, I'm talking as a people, right? With a social fabric, because a bunch of individuals don't make a people, A bunch of individuals could be, completely separate and independent of each other.
That's correct.
But a set of people with common values, norms, history, you name it, a social fabric, are our people.
Heritage.
Yes, and we as St. Martin's, if we are not careful, we are going to become extinct as a people, because we are in a very, very difficult situation, And here's where I personally want to call out a politician, and that's Mr. Roland Duncan. I have a tremendous problem with the mentality of this gentleman, because this gentleman is supposed to be the Minister of Justice. For me, he is the Minister of total injustice towards St. Martin people. When last we talked about the Brooks Tower Accord that would bring some kind of a solution in the immigration problem, because we all know that's our biggest problem. When last you hear anybody got deported? He said, as a matter of fact, he didn't deport anybody.
Wow.
He said, what does that mean? It means, and we are looking at the situation where constantly there's a grace period for these people. There's an amnesty. There's a this. There's a fine, no problem. When are you going to compensate that disbalance? By giving some other people something in return now.
What is right?
And when you don't do that, what you're telling me, you are declaring war on St. Martin people. Mr. Duncan, you are declaring war on St. Martin people, and we are not going to sit by and accept it. Period.
That's what's in the beginning. You declare war on us. You have to understand that.
Crazy.
He is nuts. You see, he is declaring war on St. Martin people, and he's very comfortable with it. And he has his reasons why he's comfortable with it. People got to realize you cannot destroy a nation which he is doing basically, and think there are no consequences.
There will be.
There will be consequences.
There will be.
Does he do it by himself, or does he have a support?
But I call him out on that. Period. Because I call him out as Minister of Justice on that. However I do it. I call him out. Let him respond now.
I understand where you're coming from.
I can challenge him. You working for me.
Whoever it is.
You working for Samaritan people. You giving account to Samaritan people. Why you... I mean, everybody walking the roads today can see that foreigners are taking over the whole scenery of St. Martin. Who don't see that blind?
Definitely.
Who don't see that? I'm not saying because I enjoy saying it. That's why I see all day.
That's what it is.
So when are you going to say, okay, it's time now to give, because at some you got to maintain balance. That's what we're talking about. We're not saying not to help those people, you know. But if you only help on one part of the scale, the social scale, you are destroying the other side.
But every country in the world, you have a time to come.
Give me a break. When are they going to compensate St. Martiners for being put at such a disadvantage that our existence is at stake? That's what we're talking about. Wow. The other people that exist isn't at stake because they got home country.
Exactly.
You know? Wow. Out here is an extra outpost for them. They still have their country. We don't have nothing else, you know. And this is the answer. That's why I'm giving this long answer. It's going to be over with us. It's going to be over.
And that's why I said in the beginning of the program, in my Philip, our parliamentarians have declared war on us. And that's why I wanted people to think in depth and understand the problem we are in today. So they can understand that they are the government, our parliament and our government have declared war on us.
Yeah, confined to the Constitution.
And if you don't understand that, then we can move further. I want the people to see it for themselves. And Mr. James has empowered what I've said. But you see, I want people to think sometimes, to understand. Only when you see the problem, then you know how to counter-attack it. And I want every grassroots St. Martiner and all those who love St. Martin, whether naturalized or born here, to understand the destruction our parliamentarians is doing to the St. Martin people. We do not have any human rights because we do not exist in a constitution. So what he is literally doing, he's allowing immigrants to come in here, bring them back, give them privileges which we're supposed to get, so he's exterminating you. And if you want to keep sitting back and saying, oh, we have a good government, then you don't understand the problem. And when you understand the problem, then you know there has to be a reaction. That's why I put in my article, conflict and confrontation is a must, but you also have to be willing to understand what has to be done. I can't enforce it on you. You have to make that decision for yourself to hold up accountable and responsible.
Gentlemen, we gotta go. Time runs so fast. Shot.
Thank you very much for having us here, and I think this is just an ongoing something, so we've got to do it more often so people understand what we're talking about and understand their own power as well.
Shot. Patriot.
Keep hope alive, understand the problem, and react accordingly.
Kevin, Shot.
I love St. Martin, and I just want to send out special strength to my family.
Yeah. Also.